Welcome back to FBU Radio. Today, we are going to talk about copywriting. With us, we have Josh, funnily enough, who is our copywriter, and Stu, who got into sales because he's a failed copywriter.
Basically. You could put it that way, actually, yeah.
It's not technically the way it happened, but for ease of jokes.
For the clip.
Exactly. So basically, over the course of the next half an hour, just disregard anything Stu says about copy. He was just the second most qualified person.
Yeah.
Say by proxy. Anyway, copywriting. I think what would be useful is to understand where copywriting actually helps you in your business, because I don't think a lot of people understand quite where it is. I was one, when I was in school, who, when I was doing persuasive writing in English, I was like typical Manchester, what the fuck am I ever going to use this in my life? Where is this ever relevant? Why is this ever going to help? This is kind of the reason why. Josh, do you want to tell us kind of what your job entails doing for us? Because that will give people an understanding.
Yeah, so I think of me as like, I got two parts to my role. So I'm kind of like it's going to sound boring, I'm like the words guy. So I write a lot of what is the copy. So for anyone who doesn't know, copy is just like written words. So if you're ever on like one of the FBU landing pages for any of the products, most likely I've written that. If you read the FBU IG captions, I'll have written those. If you read the FBU emails, probably I've had some input or written those. And then the other thing I do for coaches in the 7-Figure CEO program is I help them write their offers. So I help them take what they do and make it sound more attractive to their audience by taking out what I call coach language, which is how you would explain your program and what you think your audience care about, but actually extracting the things that you do that is going to sound amazing to them without lying, essentially.
What makes good copy, do you think?
You can't write good copy if you don't understand your audience. Like, you just have to know as much, like you basically have to know everything about your audience. Like, on a very basic level, you have to know what they struggle with, what their problems are, and what they want to achieve. If you don't know those three things, you won't be able to write good copy. You'll just be able to write generic copy. If you want an example of what good copy is, if you ever read a post and it feels like it's speaking directly to you and directly to everything you struggle with, and you read in every single point and you're like, yep, I struggle with that. Yeah, that's me. That's good copy. If you ever read someone else's post and you're like, yeah, it's all right, that's probably generic copy. Or if you read someone's post and it just doesn't resonate with you at all, but it's speaking to a different audience, chances are it's probably good copy, because good copy only resonates with the exact audience that it speaks to. So someone like Rob that you've had on the podcast, I know, so he works with dads. If you're not a dad and you watch one of his videos or you read one of his posts and you're like, that's not me, that doesn't mean it's bad copy. It means, chances are it means it's really good copy just for his audience. You just really need to know your audience well so that you can speak to what they struggle with, what they want to achieve, but speak to them in a language that they use as well. So like, you can't be, depending on who you work with, you can't just be really formal. Like, I know a lot of coaches, a really good example I'd use is a lot of coaches hate using the word toning. They're like, it's not toning, it's muscle building. If your audience use the word toning and you're not using toning, you're doing yourself a disservice trying to educate your audience to use the right word instead of just using words that they understand, basically.
Cool. So social media stuff, landing pages, sales pages,
emails. It's now that Instagram is moving a little bit back towards photos as well and carousels, copy can really help you, because I'm not saying everyone reads the caption, but if you have a really attention-grabbing photo of you or of a client result, and then in that IG caption, you're talking about the things that client struggled with. So you're not just saying, I helped this person lose this. If you're a transformation coach, you don't just want to be like, I helped this client lose 8 pounds in 8 weeks by doing this, this, and this, because that's what a lot of coaches, you want to speak to what they were struggling with specifically in their life, how it was affecting them, how it was making them feel, and then what you did to help them, and then how their life changed as a result, so that they can see that they went from a position of pain to feeling a lot better about themselves. And yeah, the weight loss was a result, but it wasn't the weight loss that did it. You're now taking someone who felt, again, I'd use Rob as a good example because he's really clear on it. He takes dads who kind of feel like they've lost themselves. They don't want to take their tops off. They don't feel attractive to their wives. And he helps them through his processes feel confident and feel like their wives fancy them again, feel like they're the person they were before they had kids, basically. So it's about speaking to struggles and fears and not just explaining exactly how you help someone lose weight.
On top of that, what would you say to coaches? So I've got a bit of a problem, to be honest with you. I've got a bit of a problem with people that write copy for coaches that can't write copy. That, to me, is not a good idea. I think, and you might disagree with me on this, I think a copywriter is only there to scale the work that you're already doing. So for example, for us right now, we have 14 Instagram posts that go out every single time. We have 3 emails a week. We have 3 Facebook posts. We have now the FBU page. We've got all the associated coaches page that needs content, okay? I can't physically write all of that content. If I did all of that content, I would have no time to do anything else. What I really don't get in the industry and what I'm quite against is copywriters doing done-for-you copy for online coaches, especially not ones that are company level. As in like, I'm not at a point where I'm hiring to try and scale my time. It's like one-man band online coach. Hey, you're a copywriter.
Yeah.
Will you write my copy for me?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because this is going to put you at a conflict of interest. You're technically a copywriter.
So I think you've spoken a lot about how you need to get good at everything in your business before you start taking on people to replace you for certain things. So like when I came into work for you, you were already writing emails. You were already writing really good emails. So I could just read what you were writing and adopt that. I didn't have to create your voice. I didn't have to start your email list from scratch. So I think you need to have a level of you're doing the work already. Like a copywriter can help you start an email list for sure, but that's only going to be useful if your audience are going to read emails. So like, it's really easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I can help you add $2,000 a month to your bottom line through your email list. But if you're working with like 25-year-olds who don't read their emails, that's not how they consume. That's probably a lie. Whereas if you work with like an older generation who do read their emails or do spend a lot of time on Facebook, an example, and I could help you write posts that are structured in your Facebook group because you don't have the time to do it, it's going to be more useful than just a copywriter saying, my copy will definitely help you do X, Y, and Z, because they should be there to take what you're already doing and enhance it or take it off, as you said, so you can spend more time on like specific revenue generating tasks. Yeah. Copy can generate revenue, like there's no doubt about it, but usually what it will do, and I know something that it works well with FBU, is it generates conversations and it generates leads and generates calls. So I can say that my copy that I do for you helps generate revenue, but it's not always directly responsible for that revenue coming into the business. There has to be another step. And if you're just hoping a copywriter will come in, do done for you copy and lead to X amount of revenue, you've probably been missold a service, really, in all honesty.
If you're not making money, a copywriter's not going to save you.
You know what the problem with me with copywriting is? I think your copywriter has to be part of your team. I don't think freelance copywriting for social media. You know, you see these packages, right? I'll do you 3 social media posts a week. I think that they probably are the most harmful thing to coaches, because all they're going to do is generically speak to that audience. Even if it's specific to that audience's struggles, guess what isn't in there? All your history with this audience growing up, the things that have happened to you last week, the thoughts that you had while you're on the bus or the train, or the conversation that you had with a client. Yeah. I see copywriters making it up. I had a conversation with my client Jane. I'm thinking, no, you didn't. Like the best performing posts that I've ever written are the ones that are the least produced and the most just writing as if I'm talking and telling a real story about what happened. Now, a copywriter can do that and can enhance it, but they can only enhance it from me writing it in the first place. So I could say, Josh, there's a load of garbled stuff that I really want to write about. This is what I want the thing to be. This is the story I'm going to tell it you. Can you put that into something that, can you use that in multiple different formats? Can you turn it into a post? Can you do it as an email? Can you do this? I think that's a good use of a copywriter. I don't think a copywriter should be able to give you ideas about your copy. I think if your copywriter is giving you ideas about your niche and about your program and about what to write, I think that's a problem. And I think the second thing is, if your copywriter isn't part of your team, so they don't know you, they're not sat on meetings listening to me fucking give it to the team about what our mission is and what we're here to do and what things we're moving towards and what we're doing. Part of the things that allow your copy to work for us is the fact that you sit in all of our meetings. So you're aware of what's going on in the company. You're aware of what I'm saying in multiple meetings across the company, every single week. Me filling in a quick form and sending it to a copywriter. How well do they really know me? Like really know me? Because that's a professional relationship as well.
Yeah.
So like they're going to know the professional fake me. They're not going to know the real me that has to be shown on social media for people to really resonate with you. And I think that's why copywriting is such an important skill for coaches, because I think at granular level, as in like you posting your 5 Instagram posts a week, I don't think there's anyone better than the coach to do so at like individual coach level. Mm-hmm. I think when you get into a company, the scale of copy gets so big that you can't manage it all yourself. Yeah. And that's where a good copywriter will probably, maybe outside of writing sales pages and like email autoresponders and stuff like that, one-time productions, your copywriter's only got to be close to being you, but able to do it at a bigger scale. Your copywriter shouldn't be a massive improvement on your writing because they're going in with not less passion, like they don't care, but like it's not their mission. Their mission is to help you with your copy. Their mission isn't the same mission that you're on with your business. They don't know everything that's ever happened to you. They don't know all the bits that have led to you doing this work. And I just think it always falls apart at that point. And you can tell the difference between coaches that have had professional copy done and the ones like, I've mentioned Sampo in fucking 2 separate thingies. George, for example, like, I'm pretty sure I remember him like not getting an English GCSE, or if he did, it wasn't a very good one, right? He's not a great writer, but he's a great talker and he just writes as he talks.
Yeah, I don't think I could write for him. And that's nothing against it. I just don't think like
you couldn't come up with what happens in that kid's head. Yeah. Like you couldn't do it. You would, there's something that's a little bit different about him. But that's what makes it work really well, and that's what makes people resonate with it. And you almost can't copy that.
Yeah. I think what the problem is sometimes is, when you'll come across somebody that's all of a sudden got a copywriter taking on their work, and you'll know who the copywriter is because you'll have seen other clients that they're working with, and you know how that initial person actually speaks, and then all of a sudden their content has turned into like these quirky little stories out of nowhere that have nothing to do with fitness, but then get hooked into fitness. And it's like, I can kind of tell who you learned copy from and you've done all these things. And like, you're saying, hey buddy, like all these things, you've never seen them say that before. Do you know what I mean? And I think an audience can pick up on that actually somebody else is talking it, somebody else is writing it. And if you end up in a position where the copywriter is doing this type of thing for multiple people, no matter how much they tell you, it's going to be super specific and it's going to be in your voice. They're going to have their own, this is from my point of view, but they're going to have their own bad habits and things that they put in there. Certain words, certain sentence structures that they're
going to
have
phrases that they like.
You know what I mean?
Like that works really well.
Even sentence structure or the way that certain things are said, it'll accidentally get said not exactly how that coach would say it. I'm not saying every copywriter's like that, but for the ones that shouldn't probably be taking them on, you can tell. It's like
even like I know that there's other like business coaches that have copywriters, and like I think it draws. And I might be wrong here. I feel like it draws the passion out of it. I feel like I can talk with real passion about a subject because it's my true opinion. And although I can tell Josh my opinion, it's not quite the same as me just going 0 to 100 on that topic. Like there's a trade-off that I think happens when you hire a copywriter.
Yeah.
Like, would you agree? Like,
yeah. Like I think
you're like light version of me.
Yeah. Like I think a good example.
No matter how much you try, you've just not got that viciousness in your head.
No. Like I mean, yeah. Like I think when I first started writing for you, I think you would agree. You were like, oh, I'm really happy with it. I think it sounds like me. And then Lewis, if anyone hasn't watched Lewis, it's like Steve's best mate was like, I can tell that you didn't write that. But that's because Lewis knows that most people would be allowed to be like, oh yeah, that sounds like you.
Yeah.
And I think if you are going to hire a copywriter, if you're at a level where you feel like the workload, you can't keep up with it and you want to start an email or you have an email list and you're not using it because you're spending so much time on a different platform, you're spending so much time on video and you don't have the time, you physically don't have the time. If you're going to bring a copywriter in, you can't just bring someone in and expect immediate results from just Instagram posts. And what I mean by that is like, you should be thinking of a lot of your content as building relationships and generating conversations. Things like sales pages, they can probably, like if you get a good sales page written, because I've written some, that can just generate leads or it can generate revenue if it's a sold product, if you've written well. But people who are going to sales pages, they're already probably slightly warm. They already probably have that relationship built. So if you're going to bring a copywriter on and you want them to just help you run your email list and they say, in 5 days, I can add $1,000. Well, unless they've been following you for 6 months and they know your voice and they know what hasn't been working for you and they can see the tweaks, realistically, that's probably not going to work. But if you give them a couple of months and they are taking a workload off you and you're using that as another revenue stream or another way of speaking to your audience and starting conversations, that's probably going to pay off in a couple of months. And people don't like to hear that. And, I might be shooting myself on the foot as a copywriter by saying that, but like, there's coaches that I've been following for a while that I know I could help because I've been on their email list for a while, but I've been on their email list for a while because if I'm not on their email list, I don't see how they write it. I can't then say I can help you because these are the mistakes that I've seen you making repeatedly. How's your email going? Oh, well, it's not doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, well, that's probably because you're not doing this right. Oh, how do you know that? Oh, because I've been on your list because I've been wanting to work with you. Whereas if a copywriter comes out of the blue and is like, oh yeah, dude, I can help you add, I keep saying, because usually that's how we would market ourselves, saying we can help you add revenue. It's like, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I can take this workload off you. Oh, well, I don't need you to take that off me. All right, well, I can do this. Well, I don't do that. Whereas, like Steve says, he doesn't have the amount of time to write all of the copy that he needs. So he needs someone else to do it. And in the beginning, it was that I was writing it and you were reviewing it. And then that just quickly outscaled because you didn't have the time to review it. But by that point, you were happy to step away because you knew, do you know what? Everything Josh is writing, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. People aren't willing to wait for that though, are they?
No.
They want you to come in and go, bang, right, cool, there's leads. And
but the good thing is like we took Josh on like full time. So it was like, Josh, can you be in all these meetings? So you're listening to everything that's being said. Josh, can you do this? Josh, can you? And it's like, yeah. As if you hire a freelance copywriter to write you 3 posts a week and you go, we sit in all my meetings so you know exactly what I'm going to be talking like, or like what my vision is or what my passion's about or what I think about this topic. How are they going to know like what to write? And my slight concern is always that, I don't know why, I just feel like copywriters are always a little bit sarcastic and a little bit cynical. I think that's just what, I don't know. Again, that might be this, I don't know lots of copywriters, but the ones that I do are always a little bit sarcastic and a little bit cynical. And if I always worry that's going to bleed into the job. Do you know what I mean? And I'm assuming that they're clever enough not to, but I just feel like if I ask someone to write something that isn't really in their values, I always feel like it's going to be done with slightly less care and attention of just getting the job done rather than really writing this and this is why, like, again, I think you should get to a point where you can either hire a copywriter to be there a lot and to be a part of the team or don't do it at all. Yeah. Because I think unless they're kind of on your journey with you and they want the same things as you, they're just going to try and please you and get the job done. And maybe not so much as complete your mission, if that makes sense. Like they're not on the same crusade as you're on.
I think there was because copywriting as a skill and as a person coming into your business to do it is like ridiculously valuable. If it's the right time, right place, like they can
And
offer
right person,
they can offer so much. But I think like what happens a lot in the fitness industry, writing social media posts became what copywriting was, and
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
forgot about emails, landing pages. Because you take Mike, for example, he doesn't write social media posts for people. He writes highly converting sales pages.
Right,
and links people's
Mike would
hobbies
tell you to
thousands.
fuck off if you asked him to write for
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah.
But that's the
posts.
thing. So what I think happened was, and again, like one of my offers when I was a copywriter was,
Oh, right, your
I write your
Instagram
social media posts because it's fucking easy. It is easy.
And coaches don't want to do it, and it
Yeah,
saves
yeah.
them time.
But the problem
it's an
was-
easy sell, but is it?
it became, or I'm going to assume it's probably going to end up in that place, is it's going to become a race to the bottom. I think coaches are going to value the price point a lot less because there's a lot of people offering it.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
well, I can do it for 300 quid a month then. Or I
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
it for when realistically, if I said to you, you write me 3 posts a week for 300 quid a month, you probably laugh in my face, because if you know you're a good copywriter, it comes with a price tag because it's their job to actually make money where it matters. The social media stuff isn't like the lifeblood of what copy is. It's just became what people were asking for because it's very easy to do. You could whip out, if in fitness, like this a bit differently because it's business coaching, you know, all that kind of stuff. But in fitness, if it's fat loss, you could probably write 100 posts in about 2 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, there's 6 clients I've just boxed off, and there's however much. It's not the essence of what copywriting, and even though it is copy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not the job of what copywriting actually usually generally tends to be. It's like a trend that came in that decent-ish and below level online coaches, if that's the right way to put it, just wanted to box off a task that they couldn't be asked to do anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and like I've spoken to a couple of coaches about doing copy, and I said to them, I was like, look, you know, this is, everyone always wants to know. I'm like, this is how much it would be per post, and they see it and it's expensive. It's like, yeah, but you're supposed to look at it as a package, and it's like, you know, someone would be like, oh, so you know, if I can, it's a bit like online coaching. Like if you just tell someone how much is a month, you don't get time to explain what you're going to help them with. They're probably just going to look at the price and be like, oh, no, I can just get PT. And a bit like with copywriting, you'd probably want a copywriter, if you were just going to try them out freelance, you'd probably want them on for a couple of months to see, to build that relationship, to see what they can have the impact. And I've said this to coaches, like, I can just write your copy, but it's much better. Well, obviously for me, because it's more money, but it's much better to have me on retainer so that you can just get me to do anything. You can get me, like, you can get me in meetings, you can throw ideas at me. And I think one of the reasons I know you brought me on is because obviously we were working together through mentoring at the time. So you knew that I understood what you were doing. And as we kind of built up this copywriter relationship, you knew that you didn't have to explain the values of the company to me. You didn't have to explain the struggles of the audience because I was from that audience.
Yeah.
I had those struggles. So for me, it's like, I think you're right, while I might not necessarily attack every topic with the same passion, I can come at it from pretty much all the same. Obviously, there'll always be angles that you just think of randomly, and so when you read what I was writing, you were like, yeah, that's right. And if it ever wasn't, you could be like, I wanted to go with this angle. And I'd be like, all right, like this. And you can be like, yeah. So I think, again, if you're going to be thinking about getting a copywriter in, you need to make sure they understand what you do.
Yeah.
Like I would struggle, a bit like what you're talking, I would struggle to write really effective copy for mums without doing a lot of research. I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but I wouldn't be approaching coaches to be like, I can write for mums because I'm not a mum. Like, whereas I can write good copy, great copy for coaches who work with guys around my age, a little bit younger, because I know exactly what they struggled with. But you get an additional benefit of, you haven't just got me in to do copy for the business, you have me doing copy for the coaches that we work with as well. So you get an additional benefit of the service I provide by not just being like, it's not just outward copy, it's like copy for your clients.
Yeah, and I think
as well.
that's probably, if I was going to say to anyone like what the benefit of a copywriter is, it's that I personally feel it's like the ongoing production items. So like email autoresponders, because you can sit there and digest what the thing is and go, right, this is who it's for, this is the problem it solves, this is the issues, this is why it was created. I can give you a brief on it, and then you can go away and write it. And I think the issue with social media copywriting and people doing your social media posts for you is that you're literally letting someone just make up your voice. You're literally letting someone else make up who you are and what your brand is. And I actually got referred a copywriter years ago for GRT, and he was referred by somebody that I spoke to at the time that I don't speak to anymore. I was back and forth with him. The price was okay. And for whatever reason, I like left it for like a week or so. And I was like, I'm not sure whether I really need a full-time copywriter. And in between that, obviously the guy had added me on Facebook to speak to me. And in between that, he was posting like, not outwardly racist posts, but like posts with racist
Subtle
connotations.
hints,
He mentioned that a security guard was Nigerian or something like that. Now, to me, I don't like that because I'm like, unless you truly understand that he's Nigerian, I don't think you can call the difference. I don't think you're aware. It could have been fucking French for all you knew. Like you've said that in, like in a way that he's a foreigner or he's not from here, he's from a different country in a negative way. And I was like, that was so lucky because I was going to let this person be my voice. That person was going to be the voice. And it was, it was a company at the time, but it was still my personal brand. Like that was tied to my reputation. Now, where I'm from and my group of mates and it's so bad. It's bad in general, but like if that ever, bled into anything that was attached to my company, not only would it be bad for the company, but like it would literally keep me up at night all the time. And I think that's something that you've got to be really, really careful with as well. Like if you're going to hire someone to speak for, that's what it is. You're hiring a spokesperson. They're pretending to be you, but like I said, there's still going to be those little things that seep through. You've got to be so clear on their character. Funny enough, I actually said to the person that recommended me, I was like, have you seen all of this? And nothing. Still working with them now. Still doing their copy. And that to me, I'm like, how the fuck could you let that person speak for you? But
it's one of them like copy and sales in the sense that like you don't need to be in a rush to outsource it. You just don't need to be in a rush. You can afford to get competent with it by taking your time and learning it and implementing it as often as possible. And then when the time's right within the business, seeing what the next step for it would be. Like there is levels to it. Like you say, if you're in a good position where you're like, you know what, I have built up an email list and we're not really making the most out of it. You know what, and I really want someone to take hold of it. Cool. Get someone in to start writing emails, doing autoresponders. If you think you've got a massive launch on it and you already utilize landing pages and sales pages, well, because I'm running ads and I'm making X amount of money, well, if I pump some money into it with a copywriter to increase conversion, it gets me an extra 10%. Well, that's an extra few grand. Okay, cool. But just don't be in a rush to get there. Get good at your own social media. Like it's like when people say, when should you hire a videographer? Not for right now. Like you might never need one. You can do most of it yourself to a very good standard. Unless you're at a level where you can start to scale it and you can afford to do things and whatever else. So I just wouldn't be in a rush to outsource it.
No, and I think you can get loads of different stuff from a copywriter as well. So we've talked about social media, but realistically, I agree. You're going to be the best person at your social media. You're probably, unless you are really good at writing, you're probably not going to be the best person at your emails. But if you're already emailing them regularly, you're going to be good enough. But a copywriter might be able to actually help you start converting with them. But, copywriting, like I've started doing stuff like writing scripts for reels. I'm not going to say that they're perfect for the voice of the coaches, but I can show a coach with my scripts, this is how you should script a video for it to be really powerful with a CTA. And then they can take that and with some slight tweaks, it goes from a really good script to a perfect script for them in their voice that also has the CTA. So if you are thinking about getting a copywriter, make sure you're clear on what you want to be getting from them and that you're not letting them, because if you let them write to you, they'll be very persuasive with the words. That's how I got into copywriting. I was a coach who got convinced, rightly or wrongly, that I needed to improve my copy. But here I am now as a copywriter because the words that I read they hit on the pain points of me as a coach wanting to get more sales and more leads through my writing. What I will say is when I improved my copy, I did actually end up getting more leads through the post when I made the improvements. So it's like, if you speak to a copywriter and they make you all these big promises, just like if you were to speak to a client and you made big promises and you didn't believe them, I'd dig deeper. But if they're talking to you about a longer term relationship and you need the help, or you hate writing emails, or you hate writing sales pages, and you want someone to take that workload off you and make it powerful and help you generate more revenue that way, then I think that's when a position like Stu said, that you'd be in a better position to bring on a copywriter, and just instead of being like, I don't want to write my social media, so I'll pay someone to do it, and then watch your engagement potentially plummet, potentially not. Again, I wouldn't approach coaches to work with if I didn't feel like I could help them and I hadn't been following them. So like, I would dig deeper on just, do I need a copywriter in? Does this copywriter really understand my business, understand who I work with? Like, do they reference something from a couple of months ago? That shows that they've been following you. They've done their research, as opposed to just I think there's a gun for hire kind of aspect to certain elements of copywriting at the moment.
There's always a sneaky one as well. This is me just being a little bitch. But a lot of the times when you see people going down the route of, I'll just write your social media posts and sometimes emails, in their pitch or in their offer, it was never about that they could improve your sales, because they couldn't write sales copy. They could just write decent enough social media posts. So they'd package it up as, we'll get more engagement.
Save you time.
I'll save you time. That's not a copywriter. A copywriter's not there to save you time. They're there to make you money where the money matters type of thing. Do you know what I mean? So shout out to all them.
ChatGPT is going to kill them anyway.
No. Oh yeah, of course it is.
And on that note,
on that bombshell,
we'll wrap up the copywriting. If, again, like other podcasts, if you've got anything that you want to ask about copywriting, if you want some recommendations of, where like we don't do a whole lot on copywriting, we do enough, but if it's a skill that you really, really want to sharpen up, we can point you in the right direction where you can do that. But let us know, Fitness Business Uni, and we'll get back to you.